Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming to 1500ESPN.com. I'm Derek Wetmore, and this is a new face.
Howdy.
This is Matthew Coller. He'll be covering the Vikings for us for 1500ESPN.com this season, and on a trial basis thereafter. We'll kind of see how it goes.
What?
Yeah, breaking news to you on the video. We just got done watching the fourth preseason game. He thinks I'm joking. The fourth preseason game for the Vikings. The first game after the basically tragic news, I think as Zimmer called it, that Teddy Bridgewater would not be playing this season. So from here on, now they scramble to find a quarterback. Joel Stave started today. He got hurt. He went through concussion protocol. Everything's fine. But Joel Stave is currently your quarterback. You were in on the Rick Spielman press conference before Thursday's game. What is the sense you get for him searching for a quarterback right now?
Well, I think we know that Stave is not going to be the quarterback. So that's thing number one.
We can say that.
Thing number two is that almost anyone else in the world potentially could be the quarterback. Right. Because Spielman talked as if he laid out all the scenarios. I mean, he said, oh, it could be a veteran guy that gets cut. It could be a younger guy that maybe gets cut or we could trade for. Yeah. But the one thing that he did say is that they're not interested in giving up high draft picks, not interested in giving up any sort of young players in a trade, which might eliminate some names from the list.
Oh, no question. It seemed to me, and I joked this on Twitter, he's the thirsty hiker that just got through the desert, gets to a hydration station and says, you're charging what for water? Because he said that we're not going to give up any young pieces, but we are keeping our options open to go find a quarterback. Well, that's fine. I've got no problem with the way he treated that. It just means you have to lower your expectations for the kind of quarterback you're going to get.
Yeah, I think he's also sending a message to the rest of the league who's going to read your Twitter, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
And see...
So many GMs favorited that tweet, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's amazing. They all have eggs, though, and their name is just @Steve.
Eggvatars.
That's the only... but it's usually a GM if it's just an egg.
Right, they're my best friends on Twitter,
At least you can believe that.
Right.
But he's probably sending a message out there to say, guys, I'm not going to trade a first-round pick for your backup quarterback, so stop calling me.
Yeah, Mike Glennon ain't worth 3 future first-rounders.
Right. And now, the other thing that he said that is kind of puzzling to me is if you're another team around the league and you have a backup quarterback, this would go for Mike Glennon. You know that if you lose Jameis Winston, you're not in great shape either.
Sure.
That Mike Glennon is only a little bit above whatever you could replace him with. So if there's a team that is totally stuck like the Vikings are, why wouldn't you just take a third or fourth round pick for someone like Mike Glennon? Why are you hanging on to him when you could get any sort of asset that could eventually become something? Because what are they going to do with Glennon in the future? Nothing. Right. He's just going to sit as a backup, or eventually when his contract comes up, he's leaving and you get nothing for him.
What I read from that when Spielman basically said, teams that have this player, that have this commodity, they sure as heck aren't giving it up. I
Which
think
is
was his
odd.
quote. What I think he was saying, he's lowering expectations.
Yeah.
He's telling the fans, look, it's hard to go get a quarterback in 48 hours, and it is. And that's your job. You now have to go get a quarterback because Sean Hill plus Joel Stave plus Brad Sorensen, if he's going to make the cut on Saturday. First of all, I don't even think Joel Stave is going to make it past that cut, even in their dire situation. Vikings are going to have to get down to 53 this weekend. I don't see them keeping. They're going to have Sean Hill in tow, and then quarterback X as either the backup or the presumed starter beyond week one. Because obviously Sean Hill's starting week one at this point.
But the difference between this situation and everyone else is that all of us expect Sean Hill to get hurt too.
Right.
I mean, he can't move very well. He's going on 37 years old.
Yeah.
And the last time he started 8 games. I mean, that was 2014. It's been a really long time since he's actually had to play football games, which makes you think that whoever the backup is will eventually have to play. You're sort of like hoping that he even gets through Tennessee so the next guy can learn the offense. Now, if you're Tampa Bay, you know that Jameis Winston is a young guy who's in shape and should, be okay through the season. You also know if you lose him that your season is probably going right.
Roll up the tents.
Which is also unique from the Vikings because this season with the rest of this roster does not have to blow up in flames if it's a backup quarterback.
Sure.
It doesn't mean it's going to be 12-4 or 11-5 like many people probably hoped for, but it also doesn't preclude you from making the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the key point here, is if this was just an ordinary run-of-the-mill team, well, you lost your quarterback. All right, that's all she wrote. We'll see you in training camp. Mankato next year. this isn't an ordinary run-of-the-mill team. There's a lot of talent, as Spielman alluded to, as Mike Zimmer has said, especially on defense. This is a very good defensive football team. You'll really see them pull out all the stops, I think, in week 1 after sort of easing in the preseason. We haven't really seen a whole lot in terms of the defense turning up the intensity. So that's to me why quarterback is number 1. You've got to go solve that if you're the Vikings. I don't have guesses in terms of who would fit on the field, because I think you'd like to find a quarterback who sort of fits this offense right now, which is asking an awful lot. Quarterback who's available, quarterback who's good enough to replace Sean Hill, and quarterback who fits the offense. Like, that's a very, very high ask.
At this point in the preseason, when
exactly.
it's literally almost over.
Right. I think, though, just given the Vikings' history, they always find a way to make weird things happen. Colin Kaepernick.
You really think that's a possibility?
I've been joking about it all night, and I think it's going to happen.
You think, now for that to happen, one of the things that Rick Spielman mentioned was that when people are tweeting things about, I was presuming he meant Kaepernick by this comment,
Sure.
that they don't consider salary cap and things like that, which we know that Kaepernick would have a big hit.
Yep.
Get it? Cap-ernick.
Wow.
Am I right? Look forward to a lot of that, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Sorry. But that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Though,
If you trade him.
If you
the
trade
49ers
for him,
trade
right. So, and if you're the 49ers, you're going to hold out to try and get something for him, knowing that he'll immediately be picked up and that somebody will likely be a suitor for him.
Yeah.
So that situation to me is kind of tricky. I kind of wouldn't be surprised if they went off the board a little bit for like a Tom Savage or somebody who was drafted not too long ago. I know Bryce Petty got hurt tonight, but maybe someone like that who isn't going to be a starter, but was a second or third round pick at some point, and they haven't really played yet or gotten an opportunity. And then, because you're trying not to completely get someone that's useless past just this season, like a Mark Sanchez or something like that.
So you're saying get a young guy, he's the backup to Hill, if and when Old Man Hill gets hurt at sometime in the undisclosed near future.
I think that would be my plan, but I mean, if you get someone like Mark Sanchez, certainly nobody is going to buy the streamers for the parade.
Right.
But
those are already paid for. We financed those. Yeah, they're a part of the new stadium deal, actually.
Right. Yeah. Let's not get into that. There's anger with that.
Yes.
But you know that Mark Sanchez can play in the league and has made the playoffs before, and that's kind of where we're at with this situation. Is like, well, he may be about the worst, but he did make the playoffs that one other time.
He may be the worst on the list, but there is a list.
Yeah,
it's silver linings, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even when Spielman was talking about it, he was like, guys, this is really hard to find this player.
Lowering
I hope you guys know that. Like, yes, we do, Rick.
We do. It's not an enviable position, but it's your position now, Mr. Spielman. That'll be it for basically what we're watching for the rest of the week for the Vikings, trying to figure out, yes, the cuts are important, but nothing matters if the quarterback isn't figured out. So he's Matthew Coller. If you like that kind of humor, Vikings analysis, he's a funny guy on Twitter too. Follow him at Matthew Coller, Coller. I'm Derek Wetmore. I bring none of that to the table on Twitter, so I wouldn't even waste your time.
I have more followers for a reason, everyone.
That's true. You almost have as many as the 1,500 ESPN account. It's pretty impressive.
You know,
check him out on Twitter. Check out our videos.
Hot tweets.
Right, all the hot takes. All season, we'll have Vikings analysis. Check out 1500ESPN.com for more. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.